Good morning, everybody. This is the Kevin Kinckle podcast, 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. This edition of the Kevin Kinckle podcast is going to be the football update. There's a lot of things going on in football this weekend, a lot of things going on in sports, period. The first story that I have to talk about is the Damar Hamlin situation. He took a hit. It was kind of a little awkward. It wasn't like one of the biggest hits that we've seen. He tackled the gentleman, stood up, passed out, had to be resuscitated twice. His heart stopped. He is in critical condition. He went under cardiac arrest. That's all we know right now. It's Wednesday, so this has been going on since Monday night. It was a game between the Bills and Cincinnati, which had little playoff implications, but the injury to Hamlin took priority over everything else that was going on to see if this man was gonna make it. On the field, it was questionable of what happened. We saw players crying, seeing guys grouped together, hugging. So it was definitely a stressful moment, a worrisome moment, an eye-opening moment. We already know the horrifics of playing football and the risks that the players have. This isn't the only sport where something like this has happened. Thank God he's still alive, but I've seen basketball players die, soccer players. It's uncommon, but it's happened before. So all prayers to his family. I heard he had a toy drive that he was trying to get funds up for before he made it to the league. His goal was $2,500. Now it's up to $6 million. So thankful for the people that donated. I've heard conversations about the NFL and their policies concerning players that aren't vested into the leases. He was a young boy. He's 24 years old, so he was only playing for about 2 years. But it brought up some questions about how they take care of their players who might be in situations like this, and are they being taken care of for the rest of their life? And it's a lot of situations with this. There was even of course, this cancel culture that we have right now. There was a sports analyst, a lot of you guys that listen to me know or heard of before, Skip Bayless, who said sarcastically, and when I first heard this, I didn't know it was sarcastically, but he's to the effect of, it doesn't really matter about this man's condition or what happened to him, but we need to play the game because the game's more important than what happened to him. But he wasn't saying like that. He was saying it as sarcastic because he had tweets showing compassion and prayers for Hamlin. He had tweets alluding to he wanted the game to be stopped right now. So when they didn't stop it in a timely fashion, he kind of made a sarcastic tweet that if you didn't look at it in a sarcastic sense, and it's Skip Bayless and a lot of people want to flame him, it kind of looks sadistic and callous, like he didn't care. But at first I wanted to flame him myself, but I had a friend who went on live, my man Haas from Newark, and he basically explained why he didn't see that it wasn't as callous as it came off. So I did my research after that, and I found out. And we're in this cancel culture where we just so quick to want to roast somebody that as soon as we see something that is that's roastable or cancelable, that we want to cancel. We don't dig and do our homework. But that's the society that we live in. I'm hoping things change. And so prayers up to Damar Hamlin's family. I pray he's able to make a full recovery, just to come out of that alive. I was in cardiac arrest last year around Thanksgiving. When I woke up, I knew something happened, but I didn't know what. I was told by my parents and a couple of friends, and it's scary. So we pray for his recovery, his waking up, his family, who's got to be going through it right now. I heard the mother was by his side. He has an uncle there. Steph Diggs, he went up to the hospital and he said he's not leaving. He has to see how his brother's doing. So prayers up, and that's about it with that. Now to the football that's been going on. They postponed the game. They don't know when they're going to play it, if they do play it. It's a crazy situation. Nothing like this has happened before. My father, who's killing me right now with the pics, but he said that they should just make it a tie. And I believe that might be the best solution to this. They're both good teams. They're both in the playoffs. Buffalo is ahead of KC by 1 game, but I don't think with everything going on that should matter. I think they should call it a tie. It's going to be tough on fantasy players and fantasy owners. Who's going to win? I had in my fantasy Joe Mixon, and my opponent had Joe Burrow, but he was smoking me anyway. But I know fantasy players did get emails from their respective leagues as what's going to happen and what they're going to do in the future. So I guess keep an eye on that. It's still a somber mood for sports, seeing that happened. We just want to know that he's okay and he's up. One of my friends, Rick, told me about a situation in Jersey City where don't want to be negative Nancy, but a guy didn't make it. He was on cardiac arrest for 3 days, and on the 3rd day he passed. This was early 2000s, I think, maybe 1996. I forget the gentleman's name, but a lot of my friends from Jersey City said they knew him. He was a up-and-coming football player. He was a really good player. So, yeah, just prayers up and everything. And as far as football is concerned, the first game on Thursday was Dallas versus Tennessee. Dallas won. They moved to 12-4. Dallas got the top wild card spot in the NFC. And they're right behind the Eagles, who have been on a 2-game losing streak. And if Dallas could win and the Eagles lose, they could be the division leader. The Giants won. The Giants moved to 9-6-1. First playoff appearance since 2016. New Orleans played Philly. New Orleans won. Philly lost. Philly still doesn't have Jalen Hurts. Hopefully they're getting ready for when the playoffs happen. It's not looking good, but we are losing. Philly, as Philly fan that I am, we don't have a lot of our players. So hopefully they get right and get ready for this playoffs. Hopefully we get a bye, and we need to start looking like we were looking all season, because the last 2 games been looking kind of suspect. Granted, we've had our backup Garner Mitchell in there, but still, no excuses. Eagles dropped to 13-3. New Orleans is 7-9, still fighting for a playoff spot. They're right behind Tampa Bay, who won this week. We'll get to that in a second. Atlanta beat Arizona. No playoff implications there. Atlanta moved to 6-10. Arizona dropped to 4-12. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady's, who come considered the GOAT, moved to 8-8. Carolina dropped to 6-10. Carolina won't be making the playoffs this year. Tampa Bay is in the runnings with New Orleans. If Tampa Bay loses and New Orleans wins, I believe New Orleans is in. So this last week has implications for that. Detroit beat Chicago. Detroit moved to 8-8 in that division rivalry. Chicago dropped to 3-13. Detroit still has playoff hopes. They're 8-8, and we'll see what happens where they could still possibly make a wild card, because Minnesota's leading that division. Cleveland beat Washington 7-8-1. Washington has an outside shot at the playoffs. Then we have Denver at Kansas City. Kansas City won. They moved to 13-3. In my opinion, they're the number 1 team in the power rankings. Denver fell to 4-12. No playoff implications there. Jacksonville won. They moved to 8-8 on the season. They have playoff hopes. They beat Houston, who's 2-13-1, the worst team in the league. New England beat Miami, who also both teams have playoff implications. New England moved to 8-8. Miami fell to 8-8. Miami's on a 5-game losing streak, and they're without their quarterback Tua, and their quarterback Teddy Bridgewater got hurt too. So Miami is looking like they're on the downfall. Remember, they started out, I believe, 5-0. They were one of the top teams in the league, but now it's not looking too good. Pittsburgh beat Baltimore. Baltimore is etched in the playoffs at 10-6. They're waiting to get Lamar Jackson back. Pittsburgh is still fighting for a wild card spot at 8-8. There's a lot of teams in the AFC that are 8-8 trying to fight for that playoff spot. Seattle is another one of those teams that beat the Jets. They moved the Jets out of the playoff. The Jets fall to 7-8. Seattle is 8-8 on the season. San Francisco beat Vegas. San Francisco moved to 12-4, looking like one of the stronger teams in that division. I was telling y'all guys from the beginning, Eagles versus San Fran for the NFC Championship. And I was saying KC and Buffalo, but Cincinnati's making a little stake in their claim. We'll get to that in a second. San Fran moves to 12-4. Vegas falls to 6-10. Minnesota lost to Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is still fighting for that playoff spot. So the NFC has a couple of 8-8 teams trying to get into the playoffs too. Minnesota Minnesota falls to 12-4. Green Bay is 8-8, fighting for a wild card spot. The LA Rams lost to LA Chargers. The Chargers have a wild card spot cemented in the AFC. They're 10-6. The LA Rams are 5-10. The Buffalo at Cincy game, these are looking like either 1, 2, or 3 teams. Well, we don't really know because the records aren't being shown because the game is postponed. But they're 2 of the top 3 teams in the AFC. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Like I was saying, they should call it a tie, like my father was recommending, and just have both of the teams tied out. It'll be the easiest thing to do. For the power rankings, I got the AFC took over because the Eagles fell off, and the power rankings are what's going on right now. So right now, I'd have to say KC is 1, Buffalo's 2, Cincinnati's 3, San Fran's 4, Dallas is 5. My Eagles dropped to 6 because of the 2 losses. I know that they're playing with a lot of backup players. I know we don't have our starting quarterback, but we're talking about what's going on right now. I'm still predicting the Eagles versus San Fran NFC Championship, as well as KC versus Buffalo. Since he's crawling in there a little bit. And for the Super Bowl, I have KC versus the Eagles. And then I have Eagles winning the Super Bowl. Hopefully, I'm thinking with my head and not just my heart. As far as me and my father's concerned, he is smoking me. He had 113 to 109 at the beginning of this game. I had to make a couple of picks to see if I could get some upsets to get back on the winning side. Mission not accomplished. I am down 124 to 117, and it's looking like he's going to smoke me as we end up this football season, or the regular season anyway. So that's about it, man. Quick recap. Damar Hamlin, all prayers to you. We hope you get better. Skip Bayless, I know we wanted to flame him, but this wasn't a flammable offense, in my opinion. There was still some people getting at him. And then it highlights the culture that we're in right now, how we just want to cancel people for the things that they do. My dad was telling me about a story about the soccer coach for the USA team who got in a fight with his wife when he was 18 years old in 1991. He's married to her right now 25 years later, but because this story came out, he has to resign until they're finished doing an investigation, which is ridiculous and crazy, but that's the world that we live in. So when these situations come up, we don't only pray for who's hurt, but we also see the temperature of the climate right now, which is kind of crazy. Things need to change, but we wanted to flame Skip, and then we overlook ourselves because we flame the athletes and talk about them just like he does, or even worse. But that's neither here nor there. We went through all the teams and the playoff implications. We're coming up on the last week of football. We went through the power rankings, and that's about it, man. I love y'all, man. I love doing this. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscriptions. Thank you for sharing, and just thank you for being my friend, man. I love y'all all, and that's real, man. Anything could happen any day, so just love your friends, your family, you know what I mean? Stay on a positive vibe, and that's about it, man. Prayers up for Hamlin, and that's it. This is Kevin Kinckle with the Kevin Kinckle Podcast. This is the football update and the Week 17 roundup. I'll holla at y'all. Peace.